So today we're starting a series. My goal for this summer, as I am unemployed, is to read a chapter of the Bible every week, of the gospel more specifically, and then interpret it through a queer lens. This is done more in depth on my blog, which I'll link below if you want to read more about it. So to start, I'm going to start in Matthew chapter 1. The ancestors of Jesus the Messiah. This is a record of the ancestors of Jesus the Messiah, a descendant of David and of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah was the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz was the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother was Bathsheba, the widow of Uriah. Solomon was the father of Rehoboam. Rehoboam was the father of Abijah. Abijah was the father of Asa. Asa was the father of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat was the father of Jehoram. Jehoram was the father of Uzziah. Uzziah was the father of Jotham. Jotham was the father of Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah was the father of Manasseh. Manasseh was the father of Ammon. Ammon was the father of Josiah. Josiah was the father of Jehoshaphat and his brothers, born at the middle of the time of the exile to Babylon. After the Babylonian exile, Jehoshaphat was the father of Shealtiel. Shealtiel was the father of Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was the father of Abiud. Abiud was the father of Eliakim. Eliakim was the father of Azor. Azor was the father of Zadok. Zadok was the father of Akim. Akim was the father of Eliud. Eliud was the father of Eliezer. Eliezer was the father of Matthan. Matthan was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Mary gave birth to Jesus, who is called the Messiah. All those listed above include 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the Babylonian exile, and 14 from the Babylonian exile to the Messiah. The birth of Jesus the Messiah. This is how Jesus the Messiah was born. His mother Mary was engaged to be married to Joseph, but before the marriage took place, while she was still a virgin, she became pregnant through the power of the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her fiancé, was a good man and did not want to disgrace her publicly, so he decided to break the engagement quietly. As he considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. Joseph, son of David, the angel said, "Do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child within her was conceived by the Holy Spirit, and she will have a son, and you will name him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." All of this occurred to fulfill the Lord's message through the prophet. "Look, the virgin will conceive a child. She will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us." When Joseph woke up, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded and took Mary as his wife. So that was 1 Matthew. I just want to say that in the past, reading the Bible, I would always skip over any part that had huge lists of names like that. I mean, they're just really hard to read. The names are really long, and they're of a different culture, so they're hard to say, so I would just skim them before and kind of move on. I used to think that it disjointed the story aspect of the Bible because it's this long list and it's hard to read. But I did hear a pastor speak on Matthew 1 before, and what he said was really powerful, and it stuck with me for a long time. And what he said was, God includes lists like this in the Bible because every name matters, which is so important. And I think as a queer person, it's so important to know that your name matters to God, that he hasn't forgotten you and you're included. Like this long list, thinking about it, it's the lineage of Jesus. And it starts at Abraham and ends with Jesus and continues. So just a lot of these people, they're mentioned here, and that's the only place they're mentioned. And they're mentioned once, and they're not really a part of the story, or so we think. But God includes them because they mattered, and this is a community leading up to Jesus. And from here, Jesus creates a community. And they're included because they're important. And I think as a queer person, that's really important to hear, because a lot of the times it feels like you don't matter, that people in the church don't care about you. And a lot of times there's this silence around your identity, which can create a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. But knowing that you matter to God is so healing. And for me, it makes me feel so whole that at least to one person, the creator of the earth, he sees me and he knows me as I am. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next week.